Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So we're just a few days removed from me talking kindly about something that WB did, and now just a couple days later, I am right back to doing what I do best, and that's exposing hypocrisy. I have long said that WB as a production company is completely clueless and usually have their heads firmly implanted in their ass.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
And I do not believe that the well-earned success of The Batman at the box office this weekend changes any of that. If you read reports like the one that I'm going to talk about today, you would be led to believe that WB has turned over a new leaf, and they've learned from their past mistakes. On the same day that box office numbers are typically reported, not so coincidentally, the shill overlords at Screen Rant released this story. The headline reads, "Future DC movies will be filmmaker-driven, just like The Batman."
Fuck you!
Apparently, all of a sudden, WB sees the value in artistic integrity based on the positive response to Matt Reeves' The Batman. I don't know if anybody notices this, but WB never comes off like they have a plan. Everything they do is always reactionary. They have a history of basing the future of the DC properties on things like critic reviews. And sometimes they even ignore box office numbers altogether. BVS. Excuse me. They have so desperately wanted approval like this that now they think they have everything figured out. But as you all know, it's one thing to say that you're going to do these things. It's another thing altogether to actually follow through. So Warner Bros. President Toby Emmerich apparently recently said that the strength of DC Comics movies like The Batman lies in their filmmaker-driven approach.
No shit.
Now some might ask, why are you upset about this? Isn't this exactly what you asked for? Yes, it is. For years I've been saying stop trying to replicate what Marvel does and be your own thing. Instead of micromanaging every movie and making them all look the same like Marvel does, instead hire talented filmmakers who are going to bring fresh takes and new ideas to these characters. That's how you make yourself stand out, and there's already numerous examples of that approach actually being a success.
That makes sense.
But here's the problem. Toby Emmerich comes out and says exactly what we've all been thinking. But he does it at a very specific time when it will make him look like a genius for the success of The Batman. And if any of you keep up with this stuff in the way that I do, I find it very hard to believe that this is actually how he feels. I guess we're just going to ignore that a couple of years ago, Matt Reeves had to fight to make this movie the way he wanted to make it.
Why?
He fought to keep the Batman separate from the DCEU because WB wanted to incorporate it into their larger universe, and that just wasn't part of his plans. I remember Toby Emmerich himself talking about Matt Reeves threatening to leave the Batman if he didn't gain 100% creative control. Why? Because WB insisted on doing what they do best, and that's meddling with the creative process. But now Emmerich says that he is all about creative freedom, right? Blow me.
Oh, I got a live one here.
You want to go back a little further? Because we can. There were reports that Toby Emmerich went to great lengths to make sure that the Joker movie was never made. One of the best things that DC has produced in recent years, by the way. He went as far as to cut Todd Phillips' budget for that film in hopes that he would get frustrated and quit. But Todd Phillips, being the pro that he is, went on to create a fucking classic that grossed over $1 billion. And all of this was done in spite of his boss. It makes me like the movie even more now.
Get what you fucking deserve!
And then we come to the Snyder Cut, the thing that he would like to take credit for because he allowed it to be released. He threw the fans a bone, right? Because he cares so much about what we think. Are we just going to ignore the fact that Zack Snyder himself had to put up his own money to complete the project? Because WB didn't want to put the resources into his vision, mainly because they never cared about his vision to begin with. They wanted Zack to release it as a rough cut, with very poor or no visual effects.
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
And Snyder instead fought to finish it and release it properly. And what happened? It went on to be the most streamed film on HBO Max and received almost universal praise, even from people who don't like Zack Snyder movies. Are we noticing a pattern here? Let's not forget more news reports circa 2017 that WB was no longer looking to work with auteur directors who wanted final say on their films.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
And yes, many people believe this was the reason that legendary filmmaker Christopher Nolan ended his working relationship with the company. A man who, by the way, was left alone to execute his vision of Batman and created one of the best comic book movie trilogies of all time. Not to mention one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And he was pushed to the side because they didn't want to let a master of his craft do what he does best.
Because it's all part of the plan.
Does this sound like WB has strong leadership? Now, Emmerich did take over in 2017, which is when all of this stuff about auteur directors actually started. But just before he arrived, we had Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon meddling with Zack Snyder's vision while he went away to take care of personal issues. And that's how we got the forgettable Justice League. And again, there were reports that Zack Snyder's vision was changed very little for the theatrical cut, which ended up being bullshit, of course.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Or how about we ask David Ayer if his vision was complete after they chopped and screwed his version of the Suicide Squad? All of these examples of both before and after Emmerich was hired, of them doing the exact opposite of what they're claiming they're going to do now. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but there is one final note that I'd like to cover here. All weekend long, all I've seen are Snyder fans and Reeves fans trying to out-petty each other on social media. I even had people coming at me because I said I like both the Snyder Cut and the Batman.
Fuck me, right?
What I find interesting is that these clowns are so eager to insult the other guy that they don't even realize that both Snyder and Reeves like each other's work and actually support each other's work. Yet everyone who is not involved with creating these movies wants to turn it into a pissing contest. There's even people insulting The Dark Knight now, for Christ's sake.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Maybe, just maybe, if you people would wake the fuck up for 2 seconds and put your hot takes and your drama bait away, you might realize that the movies, the directors, and even the other fans aren't the real villains here. The fact is that WB, show critics, and the media are the reason that the fandom is so split. And they are also the reason why we can't have it all. Do you realize that it is very possible for us to still have a Ben Affleck Batman in some capacity, while simultaneously having a Pattinson Batman? Or even a Michael Keaton Batman. They could bring back Christian Bale himself if they really wanted to.
Then why the fuck didn't you say so?
Especially now with the multiverse concept being introduced into the DCEU. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but WB is making people choose sides. And the media continuously writes articles to cause even more division. But everyone is falling for it anyway and contributing to the bullshit. I just want good movies. And do you know how we get good movies? By letting Christopher Nolan do what he wants. By letting Zack Snyder do what he wants. By letting Matt Reeves do what he wants. By letting any director with a passion and a vision do what they want. WB has fought this idea for years and now want us to believe that they are embracing it. Whether they do it or not, the fact remains that we are at a point where at least one fan base is not going to get what they want. And that to me is the shittiest part about all of this, and it is all WB's fault.
So I strongly suggest that you wake the fuck up.
So let me know what you thought about all this in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Right on.